Alright, Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. This is your brother Awar making a video to feed the sheep and edify the lambs. Shalom to the Akim wa Akwathim that are going to be watching this video. Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Brakatham. Call halal Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. And Ashar, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Right, the first day is today of that feast for those of y'all that are keeping it. You know, I'm gonna get 2 precepts and I'm gonna let this video play by the sister Lisa Cabrera, and that'll be about it. I'll probably make a follow-up video on it and drop it tomorrow. They're going into more depth on the scriptures, but y'all will see what she's talking about, and you can see from the title. So all I'm gonna get is that Revelation 13:10 and Ecclesiastes 12. So this is Revelation 13, right, and 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now I'm not saying this jab is the mark, but what the title is, you can see the thumbnail here, right? This is people going to be desperate to take in the times that's coming. So that's what's going to make them take it. Or some people right now, they will say, nah, I would never take no chip, I would never do this, I would never do that. But when the situation gets desperate, that's when you're going to be tested, and a lot of people are going to fail that test, which you can see right here, right? Because our people, they trust in Egypt. Alright, and he says, in that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Right, so this is what it's coming to. Right, they want to be able to go back to normal living, so they're willing to take this thing, whether it's safe or not. And even these Edomites, they ain't taking it, but our people are willing to take it desperately. Those that are afraid, at least. And Esau has no problem experimenting on what the effects is gonna happen to these people. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't report it on the news either. Right? So this is Ecclesiastes 12:10. Never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Now you can understand why these people look at the so-called white man like he's God. Right, when they come to you and say, oh, that's Jesus Christ, these are God's chosen people on earth. When they rely on them and are willing to just listen and do whatever they say, these men literally look at them like they're God. Right? But look at what it says, 11, verse 11. Though he humble himself, see, he's humbling himself, giving you the chance to come now, where all these Issacharites, they want to come over here desperately, right? He's giving them the chance to, but you gotta take this V. He's humbling himself, saying, yeah, come on in, yeah, oh, we'll give you blankets, we'll give you this and that, will be, you know, the same thing he did with the natives, right, with Gad. He gave them blankets and all that, and the blankets were soaked with diseases. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Now these Issacharites, they ain't taking heed of him, though he's humbling himself. Right? These Edomites, they're not taking heed of them, their enemy. They don't look at him like he's their enemy. And they're not aware that this jab might actually be detrimental to their health and detrimental on their life. You know, especially longer down the road. They're not aware. They're not thinking that, oh, these people stole my country from me, my land. They're not thinking about that. They don't care about that, right? So we'll see what's gonna happen with this real soon. Yeah, I'll go into it in the other precepts and another video. How the Most High, when you trust in these, you trust in men and make arm your flesh, he'll mess you up. He'll mess you up, man. Right? Okay, I'm gonna let this play and I'm gonna close it. Alright, shalom.
Ladies and gentlemen, many of you might have heard about the crowds and crowds and crowds of people up at the U.S.-Mexico border trying to get into the country, and over 80,000 children, I think, are at the border. I mean, it has created such a major problem, but you can count on this happening during Democratic administrations. And you'll see this happening over and over. It happened during Trump. Let's not act like we didn't see the caravans coming. They kept coming and coming, but Joe Biden and this administration is pretty much opening their arms for these immigrants to come. Well, we know they come looking for a better life, looking for work, and they're coming for one additional reason, y'all. In Mexico, the vaccine rollout pretty much flopped, and many of these folks are crossing the border to get the COVID shot. They want the jab. I'm going to go ahead and play this audio from NPR.
The Biden administration has plans to send millions of doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine to Canada and to Mexico. That vaccine isn't authorized for use in the U.S. just yet. Mexico's been having trouble getting doses. People are waiting for months. But some rich and some well-connected Mexicans are coming to the U.S. to get their shots. Here's NPR's Carrie Kahn.
David Gutierrez Insunza knows firsthand how devastating the coronavirus pandemic has been in the Mexican border city of Tijuana, where he's a state health official.
10 months ago, I was dying, okay? I have my second call in life.
He barely survived COVID and says only those who've had the disease know how he feels. He had to get his hand on a vaccine quickly, but most of Tijuana's limited supply is going to frontline hospital workers, so he looked for options and went across the border. Gutierrez switches to Spanish.
Ya no soy una persona que pueda enfermar al prójimo.
Now I'm vaccinated. I'm someone who won't infect a neighbor. That's really important, he says. Gutierrez was born in San Diego and has a California ID, using his brother's home address there. I asked if anyone at the San Diego vaccination site he went to checked if he worked or resided in the county, requirements to get the vaccine.
No me preguntaron. Si me hubieran preguntado...
No one asked me, he says, but if they had, I would have told the truth. There aren't exact numbers on how many Mexicans are getting shots in the U.S. Florida reported some 50,000 out-of-state residents received vaccines before officials recently tightened ID requirements. Nevertheless, vaccine tourism has become a bit of a phenomenon in Mexico. It's easy to find testimonies and tips on social media and in chat groups about getting a vaccine in the U.S. Mexican TV host Juan Jose Orejel boasts on Instagram about getting his second COVID dose in Miami. Aquí ando, mire, camine. Officials never even asked for my visa, he laughs. 70-year-old Mauricio Fernandez Garza, a mayoral candidate in Mexico's richest city, posted on Facebook about his vaccine trip to Texas. He says he got his shot while observing the U.S. rollout strategy. NPR also talked to a number of other people who would only share their experiences or their relatives' experience of going to the U.S. to get vaccines, as long as they weren't.
These are Smile Direct Club aligners. They can turn a smile like this.
Weren't fully identified for fear of public backlash for cutting the line. Some of those people talked to me about taking trips to Texas, California, and to the ski resort of Vail, Colorado for a shot. Chris Widlack, spokeswoman for Eagle County, where Vail is located, says to get a vaccine there, you have to attest to working or living in the county 30 days prior to vaccination and 30 days after.
We expect you to be good citizens of the world and come in because you are eligible.
She says the state guidelines are purposely broad so undocumented residents, many who work in the city's resorts, won't be discouraged from getting the vaccine.
chasing down people who may or may not be eligible after they appear to be eligible is probably not where we want to put our time and energy. We just want to get vaccine in arms.
And she says with vaccine supplies increasing lately, there's less of a need to be so restrictive. That is definitely not the case in South Texas, says State Representative Eddie Morales. His district includes 8 counties right along the border. He's been struggling to get vaccines and fielding lots of complaints of foreign nationals jumping the line. Recently, he was told by county officials about a private plane with 12 Mexicans arriving in the small town of Pecos. They all got vaccinated.
It's these influential, super rich Mexicans that have the means and are rigging the system.
He wants residency rules to be tightened.
To make sure that the folks here in Texas are getting vaccinated before we can continue caring for others and our neighbors.
Mexico's president, however, believes the U.S. should help its neighbor now. The Biden administration will, quote, loan Mexico as many as 2.5 million doses. But the White House spokesperson said that the first priority remains vaccinating the U.S. population. David Gutierrez Insunza, the state health official from Tijuana, says he gets U.S. rules and regulations.
Pero en este caso particular, es la vida y la salud.
But in this particular case, he says, amid a worldwide pandemic, life and health of everyone should be priority number one. Carrie Kahn, NPR News, Tijuana.
So you hear that, y'all. Many of them are coming just for that jab because it's hard to get it in Mexico. So they're coming across the border, getting the shot, and that's really all they want. And some of them, of course, many of them want to stay in the U.S. We already know that. But, I know they always point the camera to Mexico. You can't tell me there's not Canadians doing this. Now, yeah, Canadian has a different system, but there's a lot of Canadians living right here in the U.S. and they go across the border all the time. So, wow, so much for that. So these folks have their own agenda for coming to the border and sending their kids to the border. But, Mexico is also, if you look up coronavirus and you type in Mexico, Mexico has been doing exceptionally bad with COVID. They've been struggling badly with it. And, I know there are many reasons, and a lot of times they just can't get good paying jobs. The pay in Mexico and a lot of parts of South America is very poor. And that's why these people will pile up, especially if you got a U.S. president welcoming them, telling them to come and they're welcomed and everything. Yeah, they're going to come in droves. They're going to come in droves like this for the next 4 years. And it's so bad that the border guards are begging for volunteers to come and help them with the crowds. It's been that crazy. So, y'all tell me what you think. They can have my shot. I don't want it. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.
Alright. Jake down here, who's already living over here, knows the grass ain't greener on the other side. Supposedly, it ain't all that sweet. But you seen how desperate they sounded on the interview. I'm gonna read one more and then I'm closed. They sounded super desperate, so relieved. Yes, they're like, thank the Lord. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee. Wait, is this it? Okay, I'll go to 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And you shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So these guys go into the people that destroyed them for want of all things, even for a so-called V, for the jab, right? So I'm gonna say call halal Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai Shalom. Take it easy.